Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Let me just fix the properties of this. I want to make sure that when I'm configuring Hello, this video, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. I just want to make sure that when I'm configuring this makes sense. Just going to configure the video quickly. Camera control. Apply. So that I can cut it. No, I don't really care. Okay, so. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. As you can probably tell, okay, we are addressing some misconceptions. And I actually have my little suit jacket on today. Okay? We got our peanuts, as you can see, because we're cuckoo for peanuts. But we also have an Oasis drink as well. So that's what I'm drinking today. Now, ultimately, there are so many people that are like, Jerome, what's going on? Why are you even responding to a video like this? What? Can't black people be Orthodox? Of course. Absolutely. Of course, black people can be Orthodox Christians. There's no doubt about it. Black people, as a matter of fact, have to be Orthodox Christians in order to preserve our communities and in order to contribute positively to the world. We need to contribute positively to the world through the virtue that Christ has left us. And ultimately, a lot of people have taken exception to it, precisely because of the fact that they feel like, or they feel as though, black people, for some reason, don't deserve to be Orthodox. And I'm here to address those misconceptions right off the bat. Now, the only thing that I'm getting ready for also is trying to go live on TikTok, so don't worry. Let's get some preliminary stuff out the way first. Before we get started, please go ahead, follow me down below, Jerome Chukwuem on all platforms. We are on Twitter, we are on Insta, we are on TikTok, we are on X. X is also Twitter, so I don't understand why I made that addition. But do your best to follow me on absolutely every single conceivable platform. That's the only way that we as a community, we over here at the channel can grow, and we over here at the channel can get bigger and better. So let's get that done. Second, make sure that you're sub to the channel. This is where we do our live streams. This is where we go live. This is where we produce the content that we believe as a community needs to be out there. As a matter of fact, I get messages daily encouraging messages from the brothers and sisters that talk about how, oh, Jerome, your content helps. So that's not because my content is somehow special. That's because of you guys. Because of you guys, the content makes sense. Because of you guys, the content is meaningful. Because of you guys, your content edifies other people. And that's exactly what we want. So go ahead, follow Jerome Chukwuem on all platforms. I need to get something to wipe these glasses down. So people are wondering, okay, Jerome, what the hell is this topic? Or what the heck is this topic? And why the heck are you even dedicating any breathing room to it? Well, firstly, it's because I want to address any misconceptions about who I am and who my fealty and loyalty is to. My loyalty is to no other institution. My loyalty is to no other person than Christ. And my fealty is to no other institution than the institution that Christ has set up. That is it. Point blank, period. I have no other reason to have leniency or to have allegiance to any other group than the groups that Christ has blessed. That said, there are those of us that also wish to have our communities do well and to prosper and to succeed. And the reason that we want our content to succeed, we want our people to succeed, is to some degree we pity those people because of how similar we are to them, because of our affinity to those people. It's just a fact. If I'm a black person, I of course want black people to be Orthodox Christians. But I don't need to be the person to advocate for that. Okay? I don't need to be the person that has to put himself out there on that pedestal to say, hey, you need to be, black people must be Orthodox. Oh my gosh, like black people. No. Right? But it's a diaconia of the church to demonstrate the fact that, hey, Orthodoxy is alive and well, and it's not only alive and well, but there are so many people that are benefiting from it. And that's the real beauty of the Orthodox faith. That is literally just the beauty of the Orthodox faith. Now, some people are inclined to believe differently. Some people are inclined to not believe that at all. Some people are inclined to believe in something a bit more untoward when it comes to black people and orthodoxy. But I am of the belief, I am of the opinion that being black and being orthodox not only are somehow harmonizable, but also it is the necessary step that the black community must take in order to secure its proliferation for generations onward, and ultimately to secure and proliferate its virtue. Because I believe that the black community, I believe that African communities, especially in diaspora, have had a lot of introspective thinking to do on virtue, and that they have grown themselves in virtue typically. Now, the reason why I'm even here on this app talking about these things is because some people made a video, and I made a video basically talking about being a black person and being orthodox. And I said, let me just change these settings here. Let's go with this one. All right. Okay. Cool. All right, cool. So I made that video, and I made this video basically just saying, look, like being black and being orthodox is so cool. And as a black person, I know that orthodoxy is working for me. I literally did that. That was just the entire point of my video. The entire point of my video was just to demonstrate that fact that being black and being orthodox is something for you. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to demonstrate. That's all I wanted to show. And for some reason, for some unforeseen reason to me, people literally said, oh, no. I couldn't believe it. People literally came off and they were like, no, Jerome, black people cannot be Orthodox Christians. I was like, what? There's no way, right? There's no way that that people are saying this. And that's not even to talk about all of the black people that are benefiting from orthodoxy, all of the black people that are contributing positively to orthodoxy, all of the black people that really do love the Orthodox faith. And look at this. I'm literally competing with real Ben Michael right now. I'm competing with Ben Michael. I'm sorry, Ben. I really didn't mean this. But whoa, he's got like 85. Look at that. Whoa. 85, and I got like little 7. But that's because my Twitter is really, really small. If you do want to help out, go and head over to Twitter. Follow me at Jerome M. This is my Twitter. So you should head over to that Twitter and start following me on Twitter. Okay? Believe the things that I say on Twitter. That is what you should do. You should believe the things that I say on Twitter. You should do that. Now, let's go through a video. I believe it's black people will be Orthodox. Let's see. Here it is. So this video someone posted this video, okay? And this video got 37,000 views. And it got 1,000 likes on Twitter. Mind you, I have no presence on Twitter until like 2 days ago. So I've only gotten a Twitter account over the past literally 2 days. I've only gotten a Twitter account over the past 2 days. Now, these people that are talking about me, reacted to my video, and a lot of the comments were positive. But you had 85 comments. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. There's no problem with this. Surely this doesn't go wrong, right? We're all going to just be like, yeah, black people, yes, you guys be Orthodox, and everything that's going to be happening is going to do well. But you can already see comments from people, I guess like that, like ankle biting or whatever the case may be. Maybe they have different theological opinions of me in the past. And because they've had different theological opinions of me in the past, then for some reason they're just like, oh, now this is the time that they can jump against Jerome because Jerome has said something that is disagreeable, or Jerome has said something that's frankly unorthodox. I've never said anything that's unorthodox. That's just the fact. I have never claimed to say anything that is unorthodox. I've never uttered anything that is truly unorthodox, ever. As my professional belief. My belief that black people will be orthodox is true. It's just true. All right, so let's go through the video. It's only fair to go through the actual video, and then I'll let you guys know my thoughts on it. So this is the video in question.
Orthodox. Black people will become Orthodox. Black people will become Orthodox. There's no stopping what's happening right now. And that's the beauty of it. I don't need to say anything in order for black people to be Orthodox. There's no need for me to put myself out there. I don't need to build a monument for myself in order for black people to be Orthodox. Because black people will be Orthodox.
Now, all of that stuff is true. I've asserted it, but it's still true. It is true. It is very much true that black people will be Orthodox. Like, that's not a lie. That's not something that's incorrect. That's not something that's wrong. Black people will be Orthodox Christians. It's just a fact. And I make this known. I make this known very, very clearly. I'm like, yes, black people will be Orthodox by God's grace. That is exactly the thing that we want. We want black people to be Orthodox. And I say this as well. I say this just as well. Black people will be Orthodox. But then, no issue so far, right? No issue so far.
We as a community in diaspora, in the home countries, one thing we look for, in all honesty, is grounding, is foundation. Because oftentimes, so many times, we have been shut down by systems.
That's true. So many times we have been shut down by systems. Now, all the stuff I'm referring to is past tense. Okay? It's in the past. We have been shut down by systems. This is just true. And I point this fact out, and the reason I point this fact out is because of the fact that I'm trying to look at the trajectory of black people becoming Orthodox Christians. So when you look at the trajectory of black people that are becoming Orthodox Christians, this demonstrates the fact that people can become Orthodox, or rather, the black community can be able to approach Orthodoxy precisely because of the fact that they have been cut out by systems of the world. So they already have a primed experience of being cut off by the world. And because they've had this prime experience or this prior experience, they are able to not only empathize with the Orthodox message, but truly embody the Orthodox message as they stop trying to care about the approval of the world. They stop trying to seek the approval of the world. This is the point that I'm making.
Put down by other communities, have been put into subjugation.
Yeah, that's true. Black people have been put into subjugation in the past. And I make this point regularly, that black people's subjugation in the past is, indicative of that. Hold on.
And we recognize the truth of things that are other than this present age, things that are other than our flesh and our bones and our blood. A lot of our ancestors were animists, and we understood this reality very well. And we couldn't accept some of the griping religions out there because of their subjugation of our people. We look at Islam, we look at Catholicism as an example, we look at certain forms of Anglicanism as an example.
So when I look at the subjugation of black people, I'm specifically referring to those historical examples that we can all point to where we do see the subjugation of people that are black. So I look at, for example, the colonial period of Nigeria in 1912, the colonial period of Nigeria when Robert Lugard literally split up, Lord Lugard literally split up the Nigerian country between North and South because the North was more politically manageable, but the South was richer, and he made them into two protectorates. That did happen. That did happen. That happened in the past. I'm not even going to mention, of course, the transatlantic slave trade. That was a mixture of Anglican figures and Catholic figures that went into the world. Now, again, a lot of the transatlantic slave trade also had to do with the hegemonic nature of black leaders in the home countries that would sell their denizens. They would sell their denizens for weaponry, for constructed materials, sometimes even raw material, gold, things like this, for raw materials. And they would just do that regularly, constantly. And this led to a negative effect on the black community to the point that we don't even today, we don't really trust black leaders. because we think for some reason that they're shills for the white man or shills for white people. To some degree, you might not even trust me. I have a British accent. I enunciate all of my sentences. I'm wearing a suit. None of those things are indicative of my distrust, but for some reason, a lot of people within the black community may feel a bit turned off than, let's say, a nonchalant dreadhead who says exactly the same things that I say, but they have the particular register that would meet certain individuals within the black community. That's not to say or stereotype against black people that every single black person somehow would have a problem with how I speak or things like this. But let's say, for example, now, like, if I just basically spoke to you like this and that, obviously, like, it gets to a point, like, I guess, like, obviously you understand what I'm saying, and, like, certain man will actually agree, do you know what I'm trying to say? So code switching has then become a historical plot point in the history of the black community so that we may be able to advance ourselves in the world and literally just survive. So that happened in the past. That's not necessarily baggage that we need to take with us into Orthodoxy, but it is something or a part of our history that we have to baptize into Orthodoxy so that we can actually understand what this particular thing meant for our particular experience. Do we still have to feel subjugated as black people? Gifts are suspended for 10 minutes due to reproduce content. Reproduce content. It's my content. It's literally my content. They're saying the content is reproduced. It's literally my content on TikTok. This is why I don't go on the Clock app. This is why. If you ever wanted to know a reason why I don't go on the Clock app, this is why. This is literally why. This is the reason why. Okay? All right. Let's get the views up. Let's get the likes up. Let's hit those views. Let's get them up. So it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Okay? So as you can see, black people will feel that their past still mars them to some degree. Number one, because of how recent their past is. If we look at the independence of Nigeria, Nigeria's independence was in 1960. And Nigerians are amongst the biggest diasporal groups on the planet. One of the biggest black diasporal groups in the black community. And the home country, Nigeria, only got its independence in 1960. As in, 6 years later, England would win the World Cup. Post-World War II. I have certain family members that are older than the Nigerian Republic. I have family members that are older than the country. So, as you can see, there will still be that particular reverberation, not only with the first generation of people that were through that time, thanks for the super sticker, but also with their second gen and potentially third gen people, children that will come in, or descendants that will come in and will have to obviously gripe with being a black person, you know, in that particular contextual scheme.
But Orthodoxy was never there.
True. So if we look at the subjugation of these diaspora groups, literally speaking, Orthodoxy was never there. Orthodoxy was actually being oppressed. Now, in respect and deference to the Orthodox Church, I don't want to play the oppression game and wear the oppression badge like, oh, the Orthodox Church gets oppressed by the Muslims. So what I did is rather I focused on the fact that Orthodoxy had other goals. And one of the other goals that Orthodoxy had was the reconquering of the great city of Constantinople. That was the point. That was the point. And so I wanted to demonstrate that particular fact, and I believe that I was successful in demonstrating the fact that there is no reason to not be Orthodox, precisely because when the black people were here, the Orthodox Church itself never participated in the slavery that we try to attribute to black people. A lot of the time, people, especially in the black community, try to say, well, we can't be Christian. And the reason why we can't be Christian is, well, you know, Christianity induced slavery. But Orthodox Christianity was just never there. If anything, they were being oppressed themselves.
Orthodoxy was too concerned with trying to take back Constantinople than to enslave us.
They were literally too busy trying to survive. That was the point.
But more importantly than that, when I see black converts in the church, and there are many,
And listen to that. More importantly than that. So more importantly than the slavery point, because the slavery point is not as important as what's going on here.
Any of them. When I see them, they change.
Hey, thanks for becoming a member, Toke.
They change and they actually embody more of what their ancestors' moral code was than what we currently in this present age even identify with.
So when I say we in this present age, of course, I mean general society. When we look at our ancestors, the emphasis on family, the emphasis on duty, the emphasis on actual cultural laws to be able to preserve certain aspects of our human dignity, all of those things are kept by being Orthodox as a black person.
If you want the fulfillment of what it means to be a black person, especially in the world and with the experiences that we have as black people, that we've been treated as though we are not of the world because of the way that we've had white supremacy subjugate us.
And this is the thing that every single person got onto us on. This one little thing. This one sentence. But listen.
Person, especially in the world and with...
So look at what I say, right?
Than what we currently in this present age even identify with. If you want the fulfillment of what it means to be a black person, especially in the world, and with the experiences that we have as black people, sorry, to be a black person, especially in the world, and with the experiences that we have as black people, that we've been treated as though we are not of the world.
That we have been treated. We have been treated.
Because of the way that we've had white...
That we have had. Past tense. I don't comment on the present tense versions of this because I believe that black people need to rise above their suffering. And if they can't rise above their suffering, they need to embrace and embody their suffering and pin it to the cross. I literally believe that. I literally advocate for that.
Supremacy subjugate us. Then we must band together in Orthodox.
Now, white supremacy is the idea that people that were Caucasian to some degree, black people anyway, felt that given the subjugation that those particular settlers had on their people, they felt as though that was because of some ontic status that white people had that black people didn't have. And so they thought that there was some sort of ontic valuation higher than that of black people in relation to black people. And so they felt as though when they saw that subjugation, it was because of that. And to some degree, some white people believed it. Now, that might not be the case today. That's probably not the case today that most white people are walking around saying, yes, we're better than you because you're white. Like, no, of course not. But that's not the point. The point is, in the past, these may have been the experiences of the black community, and we still remember our past the same way white people still remember their past. They still remember when they were with communities, when they were able to band together and have families and be able to have some racial homogeneity. And now they feel that that's threatened.
Because it's the faith that Christ revealed, that the fathers kept, that the apostles preached.
There you go. And that's the end of the video. Right? That is the end of the video. So, put a 1 in the chat if you agree with my video. Put a 2 in the chat if it's not. One's the chat if you think the video is calm. 2's in the chat if you have some problems. And by the way, I will open up a panel so you guys can come up and obviously talk. People are saying 1.5. And be honest, it's okay. And the big thing that people got onto me for was white supremacy. The utilization of white supremacy as a term. By the way, my video would have been fine if I didn't use the word white supremacy, but I use white supremacy because that is a cultural term that a lot of people are able to understand what's going on there. Like, it's specifically defined in such a way that a lot of black people will understand or latch onto what that means. And I said that this is in the past. This is in the past. This is not something currently now. This is in the past. Okay? So in the past, for black people, they may have had to engage with or wrestle with what white supremacy was and have to somehow deal with that. That might not be the case for me today. There isn't white people in my life that act as though they are better than me simply because they are white. Right? They just don't act that way. Anyway, let's move on now.
Black people will become Orthodox. Black people.
So, this is the video. Have you forgiven your mother? It's just a really loaded term that leftists have used to infantilize black people with. It really infuriates me. So, I think people looked at the term and took it as a dog whistle. They took it as a dog whistle. However, we need not do that. Even if we have a tertiary definition of white supremacy, right? The idea that white people are superior to other races and should dominate society. Now, I argue, and the point of the video was we felt that way given what we experienced on the tail end of slavery. We weren't the ones holding the whip. We were the ones being whipped. So we felt as though they thought that they were superior to us because they certainly acted that way. Okay? So that is some sort of cursory definition of white supremacy in that sense. That is not tied to the Orthodox experience at all. Right? You can't blame white supremacy when you sin as a black Orthodox Christian. You can't do that. Okay? Can't blame white supremacy for that. So anyways, yeah. Let's continue. So that's a video. Got some likes. They then gave me credit. And then look at this guy. Real Ben Michael comes up. And if you don't know who Real Ben Michael is, Benjamin Michael, otherwise formerly known as Orthodox Luigi, he is an Orthodox Christian that is trying to essentially advocate for white Americans. He's trying to advocate for Americans. And what he's trying to do is argue that, hey, in order for white people to be able to have their culture preserved, or for them to be able to consolidate a culture at all, because currently they can't have a culture. They just don't. In order for them to consolidate their culture, they have to go back to the beginning and unite themselves to Christ. And in that way, have being white synonymous with being an Orthodox Christian. So that when you see a white person like Brad or Chad or whatever, you assume that person is an Orthodox Christian. And that's the same thing I want for my people, except for Nigerians. And I've done that. I've advocated for that. I've had people like Father Daniel Agbaza on stream. I've literally advocated for it myself. And it's actually one of the reasons I make this video, because I see the fruits of what I do, because I have so many black converts, people that are aspirate, now people starting their catechumenate, people that were baptized that started watching my content years ago. They say, hey, Jerome, thank you so much for your content. I am black and I am Orthodox and I love it. I enjoy the heck out of it. This is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I need. Yes, I want this. And that's exactly what I want. That's all I want. So now when we look at this video, the comment on this tweet says, Sig is a dear brother who's been very supportive of me in defense of my people. Yeah, because a lot of people think that Luigi's racist simply because he wants to somehow advocate for virtue amongst white people. That's not racist. It's just not. To argue for the disillusion or the destabilization of all white people would just be tantamount to arguing for some sort of genocide to people that used to commit genocide on others. Simply because a particular group of people used to commit genocide on other groups of people doesn't mean that it warrants that they themselves should be completely cleansed from the earth. That's exactly the same theory that Thaddeus had for Viltrumites. And if that's the case, then obviously you would support Thaddeus' idea, and you would argue that all Viltrumites, regardless of whether they even agree with that particular motion, should be somehow axed off because their ancestors way back when did really bad things before the Scourge virus. Like, many of the Viltrumites probably didn't do that. Maybe they were living under terror and fear because of Thrag. Right? And that's the idea. Anyway, likewise, I defend my people, my culture, and my racial heritage. Likewise, I admire his desire to do the same for his own and see nothing wrong with it, even if we represent two opposite sides of the racial spectrum. One of his greatest desires is the conversion of his own people in Nigeria, just as mine is the conversion of my people in America. And to that, we both have to agree. Both of us have to agree. Both of us have to say, yes, this is the way forward. There is nothing wrong with advocating for an American orthodoxy. Or rather, and this is more of a proper term, because it's not flavored, it's not an American flavor of orthodoxy. It is rather the Orthodox faith as practiced by Americans. That is what we need to advocate for. The only way that we can ever have any sort of virtual cohesion, so cohesion of virtue, is if we actually are all drawing from the same standard. And the only way that politically we draw from the same standard is if we draw from the same fundamental ideas of faith. And our fundamental ideas of faith cannot just be the concept of freedom, as is advocated by some Americans. It can't just be the concept of liberty. Because who determines what it means to be free? Surely, I would argue, if someone is a grapist and they go around graping people, that is not the correct and proper use of freedom. It cannot be the correct use of freedom. How can it be the correct use of freedom? If you are subjugating someone else, well, technically it is. It is true liberty. You are making your choice. I think my only issue with Luigi is that he's a race realist and tries to support it by claiming the church fathers is anthropomorphic. Again, the reality of race, or the reality of, let's say, being white or being black or things like this only inheres in the people or in the communities that have them. Right? It's just one of the accidents that you have. Skin tone is an accident to some degree. And my video literally, and my reply literally to that video was, thank you, brother. My point is always that no matter who you are, Christ's church is accessible to you. So this had nothing to do with just saying, wow, white supremacy. It's literally recognizing the history of white supremacy and using that particular history to say, hey, look at this place over here that literally specializes in what it means for a human being to suffer. Your community, which has gone through suffering, needs to go in there. It needs to find its home in there so that you are able to contextualize yourself into what you wanted to actually be in the first place. So that's the idea. I assume your ancestors weren't slaves. Yeah, we're not slaves. I'm not arguing for that. But I'm saying that it is a particular idea that a lot of black people feel very strongly with, and they constantly identify themselves in that way. If you do identify yourself in that way, then you must contextualize that under Christ and realize that suffering on its own makes no sense for your community. You cannot define your community based on suffering unless there is a way for that suffering to actually produce good fruit. And the only way it produces good fruit is by the author of all good things, which would be Christ, obviously. So you can see why I'm making that video. There are so many black people that actually come into the church and say, hey, white supremacy was bad and racism was bad, but the Orthodox Church wasn't there enslaving my people. And to some degree, it's very funny. I have no shared history with Nigerians in the 1600s or 1700s, and yet I feel a great affinity to them. The same way many white people have zero connection with their white counterparts that were settlers, their white compatriots that were settlers. And yet they feel such an affinity to them because of their cultural heritage, because of their ethnic backgrounds and heritage. And that's okay. God has, for some reason, left that there so that you can take it, baptize it to what is right and appropriate for Christ's message, so that you may be able to convert the souls around you. That's exactly the point. You're not supposed to wear your oppression like a badge. Neither are you supposed to wear your success as a crown. Because ultimately, both are simply filthy rags before God if they have not been taken through the medium of the person of the word. So that was my point anyway, right? And we're 41 minutes in. Now, look at this. Look at this. They said, this guy, Thoughtful Faith, I think his name is Jacob Neal or something. I don't know. Right? And Jacob, this guy, whatever, Jacob Hansen, I think his name is. This guy's a Mormon, okay? He's a Mormon. And he replies underneath the video. And underneath the video, he says this: you just don't want him living on your street. Luigi, the guy that I've literally had dinner with, that the person who's literally told me to my face, I love you, brother. I love you as an Orthodox Christian, as my own flesh. I love you. I love you so much. Looked at me, told me, I love you so much. I remember I met his wife. And he said, she said, Jerome, we love you, man. Thank you so much. And then I said to them, thank you so much. I love you guys too. The guy who's literally defended me publicly on my stances of theology. And he said that this same Luigi, who has broken bread with me in love and fidelity, that this same Luigi would not want me living on his street. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Not only is this blatantly false, but in addition to this, thank you for the $9.99. In addition to this, it is something simply constructed to divide the brothers. That's the only reason that these things exist. It's literally to divide the brothers. And I can call Luigi right now. I'll call him right now on stream. Yeah? Guys, tell him I'm calling him on stream. I'll call him right now on stream. And I'll prove this point. I don't think he'll respond to me. Because I think he's live. I think he's live. We'll see if he responds. Because he's literally live right now. He's got 190 viewers and he's live on X. He's live on X. Can someone go into his X chat and say, Sig is calling you? Or Jerome's calling you? He's debating. Let's see him.
Succeeding Peter in power. That's significant.
Oh, he's just talking about the succession of Peter. That's fine. So, let's continue. And then Ben Michael obviously says, hey, do you want to have a formal debate? The Mormon replies and says, come on my show. It's like, no, go on a neutral platform. You just accused him of racism. You can't just do that. You just accuse him of racism. Now, I frankly wouldn't want to live in America. I like the UK. I like free wings and chips. That's what I want to do. Okay? That's what I like. So I wouldn't live there for that reason. But I'm sure that if I bought a house and I said, hey, Luigi, I'm an Orthodox brother, bro. Like, I'm living here. He'd be like, oh, sweet, man. Let's go. Let's do the 6th hour together. That's what he'd do. And then we'd go to liturgy. Okay. Now, this is Basile. He says he opposes nativist revolts against rape and the molestation of British girls. Yeah, people are rightfully going to be angry. Our government has betrayed us. This is milquetoast compared to what these traitorous politicians deserve. And he's referring to a video that I made on the UK riots, which literally stopped talking about the grooming gangs. Like, they didn't go and simply stay with the grooming gangs and try to riot in peaceful protest or even riot just against the grooming gangs. They went and just pillaged places whilst the grapes were happening. So I don't understand this idea that, like, oh, Jerome doesn't like, people arguing against the molestation of British girls. Of course I do. I argue and I advocate for it against it all the time. I literally have a lot of content that critiques Islam academically, that critiques Islam fairly. I talk about that all the time. Anyway, I then responded to him, and I responded to him kindly because I think we need to promote a better space on Twitter. Christ is risen. I oppose revolts that that generally aren't sanctioned by the church or are ill/non-evidenced by the witness of the Christian faith. The rioters weren't defending Christianity in their pursuits and purposes. That's true. And I left it at that. This guy then said, if he cares so much about his race, why is he in a white country while whining about his people being enslaved by it? You guys watched the video. When did I whine? Where was the whining? Where was the complaining? When did I whine? There was no whining. There was no complaining. I didn't complain about the fact. I merely stated the fact, and I said we can use this to be able to bring black people into Orthodoxy, given the fact that they have suffered and they need healing. And there's no better place to provide for spiritual, ethical, social, political, cultural, and most importantly, sometimes not most importantly, but physical healing as well, than in the Orthodox Church. Very simple. Anyway, the reason as to why people can't go into Nigeria is I wouldn't be able to go and preach the gospel north without cultists unaliving me, or without other people in the north, literally Muslims, just unaliving me. And then my message means nothing. Because then I'm just like another face to the name of random martyrs that are just politicized and sloganeered. I don't want to be sloganeered. I want to be able to make a difference as God allows. So if God needs me to go to Nigeria, I'll go to Nigeria. If he doesn't need me to go to Nigeria, I won't go to Nigeria. Why would I do that? It is not until the church calls me and says, Jerome, I need you. It's until the church calls me and says, Jerome, we need you to sow seed in Nigeria, to toil in Nigeria, to toil in Africa. Until that day comes, if it comes, when it comes, how it comes, if it comes, like Jose Mourinho said, how they play, when they play, if they play, all of those things, until those things, I will not move hand nor foot. Because then it is just me building a monument to myself and chasing martyrdom in an incorrect fashion. Okay? So whilst I'm here, I will sow here. I will toil here. I will work here. Because for whatever reason, God wants me here. And if the Orthodox Church says, Jerome, we need you to go. Jerome, we need you to go. We need you to go. We need you now to go. We're going to ordain you there so that you can set up a mission there. Or we need you to be a lay sacred preacher there and you need to go there. Then I will. But until then, I will talk about Nigerian Orthodoxy here. I will talk about the greatness of the Orthodox Church here. I will talk about how Christ has beautified our lives here. Because I don't need to go anywhere if God has not pushed me. Anyway, I know you already covered this on your show, but it speaks to a larger issue within their community that even when trying to point his people to the truth, it had to be qualified by the same racial Marxist talking points that I've even heard black clergy echo. Number one, I've not heard black clergy echo that, but I'm going to grant that to you. Second, even if that was the case, that doesn't make me a Marxist. I'm not a Marxist. And it's not a Marxist talking point to say that in the past, black people were subjugated by other people that also were black, but also weren't black as well, and were affected by that on a community level. And we solve those particular problems, not by saying the problems don't exist or that the problems don't matter anymore, but by being honest about those issues, reconciling those issues under the person of Christ, and taking all of our pain as a community, all of our suffering, all of our gripes, our entire plight, and putting that onto the cross. That's what we're meant to do. That's what we're supposed to do. And that's what we have to do if we want the survival of our people, if we want the survival of black communities in diaspora, like I said, as I defined. All right. And then someone said it's unbelievably tough. I appreciate that. Someone said he feels entitled to live in a white nation and rambles about white supremacy. I didn't ramble about white supremacy. I mentioned white supremacy one time in a 2-minute video. It was one time. It's not a ramble. My entire point was that black people becoming Orthodox is amazing because black people improve themselves. Black people are able to find their identity in Christ finally. Right? They're able to truly have the introspection that they were looking for, that they were seeking for, and found it under Orthodoxy. That's what I was saying. But to simply reduce it to something that's just not the case, it's just not true. He's invited himself into a denomination that was traditionally broken down on ethnic grounds and gloats that there are more black people attending. It would be like you co-opting Copticism. Weird. What? With respect, my friend, I just want to take a look at your account. Okay, you're not an Orthodox Christian, so objectively, the church has a better view of me than it does of you. Secondly, the church also, ironically, in its philanthropy, has a worse view of me than of you. Why? Because I have the truth and I still sin. You don't even have the truth. So it's kind of excusable for you to say these kinds of things, okay? It's whatever. Now, here's the thing. I am not entitled to live in a white nation. I don't deserve to live at all. Not just in the white nation. There's no right to live here in this sense. Yes, there is the legal right to live or the right to work, but I, as a human being, do not have a right to do anything because I've broken the law of God. And not just broken the law of God, but I've also gone against the anthropological design of the Creator by sinning. So I don't deserve anything. Number 2, he's invited himself into a denomination. I did not invite myself into Orthodoxy. God called me. Okay? I did not invite myself into Orthodoxy. It was not an invite. I did not invite myself into Orthodoxy. God called me here. He wanted me here. This is where he wanted me. He wanted me here. He needed me to stay here. I did not invite myself into the Orthodox Church. I didn't barge down the door. I didn't break open the windows. I didn't sneak in. I didn't rob people. I didn't get tricked into Orthodoxy. I was called here by God. That's what God wanted me to do. And that's exactly how I responded. Okay? So that's to address the 2 misconceptions. The other one is that I'm gloating. This is not a gloat. As I said in the video, I do not need to be that voice or that beacon. No one's called me to be that voice or that beacon. I'm not a voice or a beacon. I'm simply a person that boasts in the Lord and is happy that people are recognizing the truth, which we all should be. We should all be happy when people of whatever community, especially communities that you are intimately tied to, recognize things that are true. Literally recognize things that are true. So that's what happened, okay? Now, let's move on, and we're going to keep going through this. People said I sent this to my black homies. Now, this person, the Primus Pilus, don't know what that means. Henry says there is no white supremacy. So then I comment on the video and I say, look, Christ is risen. Please listen to the words in the video. I say the impacts of white supremacy has had, meaning in the past. I'm happy to have a dialogue on this. It's clear my point is that whatever gripes and sufferings the community may point to, we must chase Christ. To strengthen this, many Americans that are settlers' descendants may feel as though they are being replaced, which is the whole white replacement theory, of course. Now, I won't speak to this because it's not my place to, but the solution here wouldn't be simply nationalism, but to recognize the problems in the community and realize that orthodoxy is the solution. And then I quote Ben Michael again, and he's been trying to make headway on this front, and I do not believe he's working for the subjugation of other cultural realities that aren't American, given their orthodoxy. I believe he wants to secure America as a Christian nation based on the majority that are there present. So you want to secure the nation, so you have to appeal to white people that are majority there so they can be orthodox, which makes sense. And then look at this comment. We don't want them. White Orthodox only. Like, we don't want them. We don't want them. White Orthodox only. We don't want them. We don't want the blacks. White Orthodoxy only. I said to myself, I was on the way to work and I was reading this. I was like, what's going on? How dare you? Not as in the church doesn't want them. We don't want them. With his chest. I don't want them. I don't want black Orthodox people. I don't want black Orthodox people. So this guy said, talk to your priest about what you said and repent. And then this Basil guy came and he said, my priest says mass migration is terrible and genocidal. Not everyone's priest is a modernist who thinks not flooding into your country with infinite mass migration is a sin. No one is here even talking about mass migration. If the church is a country, then yes, we want the migration of literally every denizen on earth into that. The church would literally be the bulwark of mass migration, since it wants every single person to come into its walls, to come into its city, to come into its members. So the church would be, a bulwark of mass migration in that sense. But the church isn't a nation in that way. It's the people of God, but it has no flag, right, in this way. Of course, we have the Byzantine Empire, but the Byzantine Empire isn't just the Orthodox Church, right? We have no king but Christ. So I don't understand why he's brought up mass migration when we're talking about black conversions. Anyway, so this guy said, I'm already not interested in the orthodoxy. You don't need to scare me away from it. I said, wow. I couldn't believe it. And then this guy made a Jay Dyer post, I don't know. This is ironic. Orthodox members following Jay Dyer throw around the N-word and insinuate blacks are inferior and dumb. We shouldn't do that, by the way, because black people can be Orthodox. Maybe Jerome Chukwuemeka should check his own house first. It's not my house. I have no canonical power over Jay Dyer. He's his own guy, okay? If there are troubles within his particular online following or community or people that support him, then he can address those things. And I'm sure as a comedian, he's trying to make some sort of jokes. Of course, I think that we should always be careful with what we post, because if you look at the most recent post that I made, not this one, this post, those that are clerics or lay leaders in the church must use social media responsibly. They cannot act in any way that would undermine or scandalize people away from the church's witness. Be as honest as you can and remember that you're a real person. So I think that this is a standard that we should try to uphold, not because I'm amazing at upholding the standard. I'll probably fail at that standard at some point in time, but that it means that the church can actually do its job and witness to people. Now, where is it? Look at this. I'm telling you as a brother in Christ, you want them to remain Protestants. Truly, you have no idea. I said, what is going on here? What are we doing? We don't want them to be Orthodox. Let them remain in heresy. Let them remain in falsehood. Please. God, shut their eyes so that they don't see. Block their ears so that they don't hear. Poison their hearts so that they won't understand. Otherwise, if they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and are receptive with their hearts, they may turn and be converted. No, we don't want that, please. No matter what, please. Do not allow the blacks to get in. No matter what you do, do not allow the blacks to get in. What are we doing? Now, of course, this is just posturing and pearl clutching, of course. But the reason why this is wrong is clear. Because Christ says we need to go into all the nations in the Great Commission. And that includes black people. We have to be Orthodox. We have to. It is a mandate that Christ has given us. And we have to complete that mandate. Someone said, this looks like a nightmare. Being a black Orthodox Christian is a nightmare. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? How? So what you mean to say is, we want them working in our factories, but we don't want them in our churches. We want them on our sports teams, but we don't want them in our parishes. That's what I'm hearing. We want them as comedians, as jesters, as entertainers, but we don't want them as communicants. Heaven forbid we have them as communicants. No. Too far. They should go back to Africa and proselytize to their own people. Black people should try their best to make and establish contact with the home countries. That is true. Whoa, Kyla Birch, thank you for the 49.99. Thank you for the 50. Really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for giving a black brother. We're on the road to being full-time. We're on the road to being full-time. You want to donate? Go down in the description below. Europe is for Europeans. Go be Orthodox in Africa. We want our countries back. Sure. Millions of blacks are Catholic and increasingly so. Eastern Orthodoxy wasn't in Africa because it doesn't really evangelize. It took the Catholic Church to do that. What are we doing now? What are we doing now? As a matter of fact, Orthodoxy evangelizes so much. There was a retreat. Actually, I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna take the screen off. There was a retreat that we did as Orthodox Christians. The Archdiocese of Thyatira did a Lenten retreat, a sort of Lenten talk for the day, and it was a day out. The amount of people that I saw that were, number one, non-white, and were number two, that were number one and most importantly, non-Greek, and were also non-white, was staggering. People forget, by the way, that white people technically are foreigners too when it comes to the Orthodox Church. Because they don't have their British Orthodox Church right now. Their particular confession in Canterbury, the Canterbury Confession, has obviously been sort of hijacked to some degree, or rather it's been taken out of place to the point now where the Ecumenical Patriarchate itself has to send a witness of the gospel, which is His Eminence the Archbishop, to the Archdiocese of Canterbury, right? To perhaps establish good dialogue with them so that we can gain them back. Right, which is what Paul does. I become a Jew to win the Jews. I become a Gentile to win the Gentiles. We become Anglicans. No, I'm kidding. Right? So we have that. But when we go to all of these Orthodox retreats, there are so many people from so many different nations and languages. It's like Pentecost all over again. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So to those that say that Orthodox Christians don't evangelize, you've been living under a rock. We absolutely evangelize, and we're only getting started. We're only getting started. Now, is this all we can do? No. But we are only getting started, and it's only going to get better from here. We're only going to get better from here. That's what I love. That's what I love. Don't worry, guys. We're going to read the super chats at the end, so send all the super chats you can. I will read every single one of them at the end. So, the Orthodox were too busy submitting to Muslims to be enslaving black people does not make the point you think it makes. The point that I think it makes is literally that the Orthodox Church was occupied. And now that it's had that history, people are able to demonstrate and recognize the fact that God did not allow his church to be corrupted by mass sin. Right? He didn't allow the mass subjugation of black people get into there. He didn't. Okay? Right? He didn't allow this to happen. But yeah. Okay. Now, this guy, his name is Respectable on post, I think. He says, now this is a more nuanced take, and I think he's trying to be more nuanced here. And his take is very interesting. He says, of course we want black people to become Orthodox, but tying this into complaints about so-called white supremacy while living in the UK seems strange. It comes across as an underlying resentment, a chip on the shoulder mentality, which is exactly the wrong mindset when trying to appeal to potential converts. Now, first of all, I don't think the majority of people had a chip on the shoulder mentality, because when I looked at the video on TikTok, when I looked at the video on Instagram, most of the comments were, whoa, yeah, man, I'm black and I want to be Orthodox too. Or, hey, yes, black people, cool, let's go. Everyone was happy. The only people that really took a resentment to it were people that felt like they were attacked as a result of my video. And I can understand if Catholics felt attacked by my video, because you could make the interpretational case that I was assuming that Catholicism is falsified because of slavery, which is not my claim at all. But he just says that apparently I'm talking about so-called white supremacy whilst living in the UK. So we gave a basic idea or understanding of white supremacy to be able to sort of lay out the concept work there. But living in the UK would be irrelevant, because I'm not just talking about black people in the UK, which again is an assumption on your part, or rather an assumption on some people's parts, right? The idea of white supremacy whilst living in the UK, again, shortens it to a specifically American phenomenon. So to talk about that in the UK would be strange, as he says in the video, in the comment, and ironic. But I'm talking about black people in diaspora. So that would include Americans. That would also include British people that feel like they have had a sort of weakened version of white supremacy, given the fact that in the 60s, 70s, with the Windrush generation coming in, they felt like they were only imported in the UK as a sort of startup injection. They were literally there just to sort of inject life back into the British economy for them to sort of be pumped back home somewhere. So they felt like that. They really did feel like that. However, it's not the same as them believing that there was this ontological shift or difference as was present in America, which is why I use white supremacy to cover both terms in that way. But I don't ever limit black people to white supremacy, as you can see in the video. I actually talk about their cultural heritage with animist ancestors. And that's exactly what I actually emphasize in my video. But of course, you focalize on the one point you care about, which is, oh, Jerome is making a point about white supremacy. Which, again, just derails the point of the video. Chip on the shoulder mentality? No. I'm just literally going to flat out say that this is an assumption. This is an assumption that I have a chip on the shoulder mentality. And yeah, having a chip on your shoulder is the same thing that many Protestants have. How many Protestants do you know reject some teachings in the Orthodox Church because it reminds them of their Protestant heritage? How many of you know Protestants, Orthodox Christians that reject Protestant doctrines how many do you know that were Protestants, that used to be Protestants that are Orthodox, that reject Orthodox doctrines because they sounded too Protestant? Right? There are Orthodox doctrines that some Protestants have advocated for, like Christ died in our place, or he really did take on the sins of the world, particularly the sins of the church, on the cross. No. We just believe in recapitulation. Which is true. We believe in recapitulation. We just don't turn our God into an angry, vindictive, murderous being. Right? Because God is not vindictive. He's a vindicator. He's not vindictive. He vindicates. Some people then, on this post, he then said, isn't this Sig? I mean, he's like the leader of the Latinizers with Ananda. I don't know what that is. I know the Latinizers in the Catholic tradition in the Orthodox tradition refer to people that accepted the Filioque clause and papal supremacy. I accept neither, so I'm not that. I'm new to Twitter, so no. There is something off here. What's off here? I don't know. He generalizes all black people as a uniquely oppressed race. No. I never said that they were uniquely oppressed. I never made the oppression of black people unique to the somehow putting down or to the belittlement of other racial groups that have gone through some sort of slavery and oppression. Everyone's been through slavery. But I'm specifically focalizing on talking to black people. Shout out the New York Knicks for real. Also, he generalizes all black people as a uniquely oppressed race and introduces the victim mentality. No, I am acknowledging their suffering and telling them to become victors in Christ. A Marxist spirit. Also, did he forget the Ethiopians? What about the Constantinople comment? Lol. What's wrong with that? Glory to God that he found orthodoxy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's look at this. Then someone just posted a Rabbi Talon. Oh, I'll talk to him like once. And look at this comment. Prepare for your churches to be liberalized and shamed for their violent history. You don't have to prepare for anything, bro. Prepare to change people. And prepare to have a lot of people come with their own problems and sicknesses and prepare for those sicknesses to be healed. They can come, but like Prot's got to leave PSA at the door. They got to leave any and all phrases that include white supremacy in the trash. Number one, both of those statements are wrong. And I'll explain why. Statement one is wrong because the church didn't tell you to leave it at the door. So you don't get to decide what people leave at the door in order to become Orthodox. Number two, they got to leave any and all phrases that include white supremacy in the trash. The church never told you that you had to leave that at the door. Both of these phrases, given the right pastoral context, can be used to develop someone's spiritual life, given the right pastoral context. So it's not just about speculative theology, but pastorally what's beneficial. If I have a person that was an Anglican and they were literally on the path to ordination and they want to be an Orthodox priest, to some degree, you can look at that person's theology and say, well, contextualize what you believe as an Anglican within the Orthodox faith. What did you actually get wrong? And you can see what aspects of the substitutionary atonement you got wrong. And you will look at the fact that, I missed out theosis. I missed out the harrowing of Hades. I missed out the analepsis. All of these other things I was wrong on because I simply overemphasized penal substitutionary atonement, sometimes to the contradistinction to these other aspects of the atonement. It's like the Arians. They were correct to say the Father was God, but they did so at the contradistinction of the divinity of the Son. So the problem with people that really push PSA is almost a narratological framing, whereby they talk about PSA only. And PSA is the only thing that must be talked about. And that PSA is the only lens by which we can interpret the light of the gospel or understand the gospel. Which is just not true. It's not orthodox at all. However, there are some people that may advocate for the substitutionary atonement in a correct way, the way that Athanasius advocated for the divinity of the Son. In that, he didn't have to spend all day talking about how the Father is God because everybody came into that assumption, right? I don't need to spend my time trying to convince Orthodox Christians that theosis is true because it's a given that theosis is true to that person. They're usually more familiar with it. But when it comes to the penal substitutionary atonement, perhaps when trying to emphasize that or witness to Protestants, you must be pastorally very careful. And second, when we are witnessing to other Orthodox Christians that may have had a Protestant background, reminding them of those aspects of the atonement will prove wonderfully beneficial when contextualized under the Orthodox practice. All right. According to, I've already said this as well. According to Dyer, here it is. Look, this is cool, but all he made it focused around black as if it's some monolith and then went on multiple times about oppression. I did not do that. The reason why I made the video about black people being Orthodox is because the focus of the video was orthodoxy with black people. So I'm allowed to do that. I don't have to mention white people when I talk about black people. Neither do I have to mention black people when I talk about white people and proliferate the goodness of white people. Everyone is so quick to shame white supremacy or advocating for living. No, I'm not saying, I don't think you're a white supremacist. You don't have to identify with that. While the victim Olympics gold medal winners push us versus them, suspect. Never said it's an us versus them. Because there's white people that are Orthodox. Like, I've never made an us versus them. It's not an us versus them. It's us against the world. Both of us. The one church. According to Dyer, ooze are a brown cult and monkey physites. But if a black brother like Jerome converts to your specific Eastern tradition, they're okay? Yes, because I'm saved. I think the monkey physite stuff is just that they're monkeying around. I don't think it's a racial thing. If it is a racial thing, then it's just irrelevant. But anyway. You or he nails it. I've never seen black people more affirmed to any niche as they do at being at home in the Orthodox Church. It's a really remarkable thing to witness. Exactly. Yeah. If you go to church because it's pleasing to your racial identity, you should reevaluate. Yes, you shouldn't do it just because of that. But you should also find a joy in the fact that Orthodoxy has also helped you in this way too. Muslims say the same thing. They're just empty words. Well, they're not empty because we have the truth. There are black Ethiopians who are Orthodox, and I think this is good for black community in general to improve their lives. If these new black parishioners think that they are now the same as white Greek Russians, Greeks aren't white. Serbians and others, they'll be for a rude awakening. Awakening, guys. Okay, that's great, isn't it? Like, it's so intelligent. Anyways, even more coming to Rome, Pope Splainer. Okay. And then this guy says, I wouldn't trust this kid with a barge pole. What? And then he says, while they ought to be, I'm not getting behind his messaging. He can attend divine liturgy and keep his mouth shut. You know, I could respond to this post. I could respond to this. But the proper response to this post is just pointing out the fact that you're posting too. I'm not getting behind your messaging. You should attend divine liturgy and keep your mouth shut. Take your own advice. Take your own advice. And no, I'm not going to say black people were the original Orthodox. The original Orthodox were Jews. True Jews. You can't put all people with black skin, dark skin into one category as black people. People with dark skin are as different from each other as the people of white skin. Can you imagine a Russian being the same as a British? A Kenyan and an Alabama black person have nothing in common. I didn't group them all together in this way. I didn't just say, well, if you have dark skin, then I'm just talking about you. No, I said people in diaspora and in home countries. And then this guy says, as someone who identifies as a real N-word, I can confirm. I couldn't believe it. And the thing is, this one made me laugh. I was just like, you know what, Fez? I was just like, Fez. There's nothing I could do. There was nothing I could say. Let's go, 130 live streamers. Let's go. Let's get these likes up. I really want to see the likes go up, okay? Let's get these likes up. It pushes the video out. This guy said, you can come to church, but leave the ghetto BS at home. Wow. I don't understand. Why am I ghetto? I don't even do the gratatada stuff. Like, this idea that I'm ghetto is just not true. Like, how can you say that I'm just ghetto? Like, oh, like, black people are ghetto. Like, what are we talking about? This is not even remotely close to true. This is just something made up so that you can have this particular proliferation of black people. Someone said, not happening. Someone said, based N-word with an icon, based N-word. I was like, okay, I admire the gumption. I admire the gumption, man. Really appreciate your enthusiasm. Thank you. I guess. Thank you. Really appreciate the gumption, man. Cool. So then said, I'm happy for them, but they can be Orthodox in Africa. You should be Orthodox everywhere. Now, I think this is what the main point of the post was. Papism was bad, yes, but I wouldn't use Marxist terms like white supremacy. So again, it's a dog whistle that they ignored the terms, they ignore the words, but they literally focus on the dog whistle. So they ignored the entire point and just focused on the dog whistle. Islamic tyranny was way worse for Africans, by the way. Ethiopians were one of the very early Orthodox Christians. Later, North Africa was, so there's definitely something to work with here. That's true. I'm excited for the future of this country. And this is something that this made my jaw drop. Congo is 90% Christian, but it still has the highest murder rates in the country. And he meant continent, but whatever. Right? It still doesn't matter. N-words are nation destroyers. I said, wow. Someone said, holy victim mentality. Orthodoxy's BS, it's not the truth. Someone said, shut the F up. That's not happening and it's not beneficial. This guy then said that I'm gay. How did we get here? How? Like, the comments range from, we don't want black people to be Orthodox, to you're gay. Like, what is this contrast? We don't want the blacks in the church, plus you're gay. What is the evidence I'm gay? Please. Is it because I sound like this? No. This one was just a troll. Dude, that's so awesome. Do any black Orthodox kings want to marry my sister who's white, by the way? I'm fine, mate. You Africans are not black people. Cool. Okay. Black Roos Forward. Loving the gumption, kid. And I believe that was it. Yeah. That was... Oh, okay. I'm not reading that. Oh, okay. Wow. What the heck is this? I couldn't believe that. Look at this. Like, yeah, this was shocking. But anyway, those are most of the responses. Luigi's cooking up here on Twitter. Look at that. But I think that as we get more people on Twitter, then we'll have a bigger live stream. We are on the road to full time, so let's keep going. Someone says, I have a small issue with some of the meta-narrative surrounding this. This is an earnest attempt to reorient black culture to something greater. He still defines black persons as experiences with white supremacy. That's creating a subculture narrative in Orthodoxy. Number one, no, it's not. Even if that was the argument I was making, which it isn't. Right? Saying that black people have to deal with their history is not the same thing as creating a subculture. That's like saying that what Luigi's doing, what Ben Michael's doing, is creating a subculture, which it isn't. So we need to be so clear about what we're talking about here. Does this guy believe that Luigi's making a subculture? No. So why would I be making a subculture? Right? Makes no sense. Thank you for the 15 roses. Yeah. Anyway, a black Orthodox is speaking, sit and learn. What the hell? We was Hezekiah and Shayet. Tyrone took a sip of some lean and is seeing the uncreated light of Tabor. For real, for real. Okay. Never had lean before, and I never will. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways. That is it. That is it. That is it. That is the majority of it. So, guys, that is the entire post. So people were saying, literally, black people shouldn't be Orthodox. And I wanted to take this time. To really go over that and to really talk about the necessity of Orthodoxy for black people. And why being black and being Orthodox is so important. Like, almost vital. Almost vital. It is vital, to be honest with you. Anyway, so should we open up comments? Should we open up a panel? Should we open up a panel for people to speak? Is that what we do? Is that what we do? Yes. Okay. Open a panel. Jerome would be a great Orthodox apologist. I don't think I'll be a great Orthodox apologist. All right. Let me get the stream. Let me make a StreamYard now then. We'll accept people on... We'll accept call-ins on StreamYard. To start with. Start with StreamYard. Twitter is a hellhole. Yeah, but it's just, yeah. Anyways. Let's do some SC first, bruh. Oh, Speaker's Corner. Is that what you're talking about? Twitter is terrible, but I will use Twitter because I think Twitter's something that we need to, of course, always demonstrate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this now. I'm going to post the StreamYard link in the chat below. So everybody, if you are on YouTube, the YouTubers will be able to engage with the StreamYard chat first. So YouTubers, make sure you have it. Here you go. Can someone post that in the Twitter chat as well so that people on X can access it, please? We'll pin that. For more donations, make sure you go to streamlabs.com/sig so you can still donate to me if you wish, if that is what your heart desires. I'm so glad that I'm able to stream on Twitter, man. This is sick. So cool. And the live stream stays up as well. It's sick. Debate erupts over Catholic loyalty to Pope Leo XIV. Ben Shapiro calls Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes the new left. Hypothetical tech versus biology army debate divide opinions. Yeah, we should just have biology. All right. Let's look at the people that join up. Let's look. All right. Let's add Zay to the stage. Zay, how are you?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing all right by God's grace. Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen. I have a
Okay,
lot to say about this.
go ahead.
So, I'm a Puerto Rican American, right? The
Mm-hmm.
same way that you feel about black people and Nigerians is the same way that I feel about Puerto Ricans and Hispanics.
Okay.
Primarily, I want my people to become Orthodox. Obviously, I want everybody to become Orthodox,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. It's not an ethnic thing, it's a cultural thing because I know how the culture is with my people. I know how they are,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the things that they struggle with, and
Mm-hmm.
I want them to find fullness in Christ.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, the people that are commenting on your post, if this was about white people or
Mm-hmm.
about their ethnicity or their culture, they would be all for it.
Oh
But
yeah.
the fact that it's minority cultures is the reason that they're giving so much pushback.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people like this within
Mm-hmm.
the Orthodox Church, or people that claim to be within the Orthodox Church and that are like this. And I don't know why they're like this
Mm-hmm.
when this is literally a sin in the Orthodox Church.
Mm-hmm. Ethnophilitism. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't get why people are so hung up on being divisive across racial and ethnic lines when we
Mm-hmm.
should be focusing on the unity that comes with Christ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. And I think that to divide the church across ethnic or racial lines, as opposed to the territorial lines that the church has already established, is ethnophilitism, and it's condemned as heresy. So let's move
Exactly.
to got Omega TV here. Omega TV, how are you doing?
Yo, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. What's up?
Yeah, just wanted to say that you partially were like responsible for my conversion. I came from a lot of online stuff, and you know, just figured if since I'm here, I should thank you for that. So thank you.
Thank
Even
God.
though I know you don't see yourself as a teacher or anything, but like, yeah. And I just wanted to come in today because it's a super interesting discussion, and like
Mm-hmm.
I kind of I guess I relate to a lot of the stuff you're saying. It's like
Mm-hmm.
ethnically I'm Ugandan, and I have a lot of these thoughts thinking about like how we would actually go about like influencing orthodoxy to get some kind of foothold in Africa,
Yeah.
because I don't know how Nigeria is and Nigerian history, but
Mm-hmm.
I assume because it's like a Bantu culture, there would be some similarities
Mm-hmm.
to Uganda. Like
Mm-hmm.
you talk about like the animistic religions and how like
Yeah.
with a lot of those religions, it's kind of like it's to do with like the world and like nature, and like you kind of like it just stops there. It's like and I kind of see like I don't know if you know about Pentecostalism.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is Pentecostal actually, and she took me to her church, and
Yeah.
I obviously I didn't pray or anything, but with Pentecostals, like the I don't want to be rude, but the way I would describe it is that they were spazzing out like on the floor, like all around me. And I'm kind of looking at this and I'm like, I feel like this kind of reflects those animistic religions from,
Mm-hmm.
way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of being, I don't know whether it's the same demons or whatever, that they're kind of like being reflected in these behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on how do you think we bridge the gap to something like orthodoxy that or it is an experiential religion, but like there is a lot of I guess um, there are a lot of things like theology that can be hard to grasp. And so I was just wondering, like, how do you think we would what do you think we should do as Africans? I know you're Nigerian, I'm Ugandan, but
Mm.
yeah.
No,
Sorry for the app, by the
no,
way.
no, that's
I know
fine.
it's yapping. Yeah, yeah.
There is an affinity because when it comes to especially our witness to people that are already Christian to some degree, like let's say they're
Mm,
Pentecostal, there are many things in
mm,
the Orthodox Church that are provided. Many people in the Pentecostal experience feel as though, in order for them to truly be Christian, they have to speak in tongues as the Spirit gives us utterance and things of this nature. You've
yeah.
probably heard that before. And
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they feel truly like, in order for us to be Orthodox and interact with the Orthodox faith in this way, to be Christian, interact with the Christian faith, we have to speak in tongues and we have to do all
Yeah.
these things. And a lot of people
Yeah.
get disillusioned with it and will pay lip service but won't actually believe. And that's why we see this rising number of people becoming a bit more disillusioned. But
Yes.
Orthodoxy doesn't
Absolutely.
say that. Orthodoxy is very grounded and says, look, the experience of God is just a real grounded thing. It's not something that's in smoke and mirrors. It's not something that hits you like a crazy feeling and then you writhe around on the ground and then you start speaking in
Mm,
unknown languages. You don't need that.
mm,
The uncreated light that the fathers describe is a clarity, simply a
yeah.
theological clarity that Christ teaches us, that Christ gives us. And so that's
Mm,
exactly the same thing that we want to search for as Orthodox Christians. It's exactly the same thing that we want to search for when we're trying to do the things that we would like to do. So it's exactly the same
mm,
thing. What we need in these African countries is willing people that have converted from those home countries to go there and stay.
yeah.
And they have to
Yes.
be willing to do that in mission and in diaconia, in service to the church, knowing that they can never really come home and make their home back, that they are there in Nigeria to stay, they are there in Uganda for real, for keeps, and they are there
Mm,
sowing in that land, reaping those people as their rewards, knowing that they might not
mm,
expect a thank you. They're not going to probably receive their praise. They're probably not going to receive their flowers, but
yeah. Yeah.
they do it because it's necessary. And not only because it's necessary, but because it is right. And that's what we
Mm,
need. So the Orthodox project for Nigeria is very simple. Nigerian people become Orthodox and they go there. And when they're living good lives, when they're living moral lives, when they're living lives connected to God and connected to his body, they, Nigerians, as with every other country that has ever converted to the faith, realize that this thing does change you and this thing is
mm,
for real. I want a
mm,
peace. That's it. That's it.
mm,
That's the big secret. We don't have to come up with arguments against Protestantism. We don't have to come up with arguments against Catholicism. We don't have to come up with
mm,
arguments. Now, maybe contextual to those people, yes, we will need to talk about regaining trust in the physical institution of the church, the visible institution of the church, and somehow reconciling that against Catholicism, which really messed up in Nigeria, for example, or Anglicanism,
mm,
which really messed up in Nigeria and messed up in Uganda,
mm,
as an example. But
mm,
we can
mm.
show those inroads. Our priests don't have to drive luxury cars. Our priests don't have
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
paid
That.
millions upon millions upon millions and wear fancy cassocks all the time. It's a big
Yeah.
reason why
Yeah.
a lot of our rations and our wear is black. The
Yeah.
epitaphylions are very simple. The phelonions are very simple to wear. The clerical
Mm,
wear is very simple. And we don't have
yeah.
multiple priestly clothes and we change for ordinary time and we change for Eastertide and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Although we do try to change from Paschal season to unpaschal seasons and things like that.
Mm,
We do try to do that. Even so, it's not crazily bejeweled like in Greece. We don't need it to be. We just have it
no.
simple
No.
as Orthodox Christians. We probably would
Yeah.
take after monks and monastic clergy and more
Mm,
humble married clergy, and we probably work very well. So that's my response to that.
yeah. 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 No. And I think that's super interesting. Like you're saying, like literally, the conclusion I've come to myself is like, I need to go back to Africa and live in Africa, to like actually, uh, have I can't like complain or talk about like Africa or African issues, I feel like
And
if I'm
we won't
living
be able to
thousands of
talk
miles
about,
away,
well, yeah, exactly, but we have a
yeah, yeah,
responsibility to care because they are still connected to us in some way, and
of
even if they
course,
don't care
yeah,
about us, we have to care about them, so
mm,
that at some point in time it's not that we save them, but rather through their prayers they save us. That's what we should
yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I'd love to. My whole like goal is like, if I'm ever financially able, I'd love to build schools, like Orthodox schools in Africa.
Amen.
And because yeah, I just believe the schooling system's kind of a little cracked. So yeah, my patron saint was Saint Cosmas of Aetolia, who kind of did the same thing in the
Nice.
Greek in Greece. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I won't take up much more of your time. I appreciate you having me on.
It's all good.
Thanks a lot.
Take care. Take care. Take care. Take care. All right, let's go to the next person. We have Bronte, then G Faithful, and then Lawrence Tubbs. So we'll go with Bronte. Bronte, how are you?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm okay. You called yourself Bronte. You're a guy. Okay. Cool, 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 cool.
So I'm American, and here Bronte is a male name.
Oh, cool.
So interesting enough, though, in Greek it is thunder. So Bronte. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
What's
But
up?
my baptismal name is Ignatius. So if that makes you feel more comfortable,
It's all right, Ignatius. Christ is risen.
truly is risen.
Okay, what's up? What's up?
So yeah, I wanted to. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I've been actually here in the U.S. I've been talking to a lot of clergy about this particular situation. Like
Yeah.
my family, like my wife and children, they're African American, we're black, and
Yeah.
this has been a conversation we've had since we've joined the church, and since we've been interested in my wife. She grew up Roman Catholic. I grew up Pentecostal,
Yeah.
and the environments we've grown up in were these sort of, conciliar black churches,
Right.
quote unquote. Like
Right.
my wife growing up Catholic, she was around black Catholic people in like
Right.
majority black Catholic churches. And then so coming to Orthodoxy, we see the universality of the church. And so
Yeah, of course.
what's interesting though is, the comments uh, on the post, they don't shock me because I've seen them in real life, but
Really?
not from
Wow, you've
I
seen
would
them in
say not
real life.
from
You've seen these posts in real life.
the comments themselves. I've heard
Wow.
these conversations had, yes.
Wow.
But usually by people who, what I would say, are suffering from prelace, right? So usually
Yeah.
it's sort of one of those things where, like, I mean, a real life example, right? My family, we're visiting a different parish for a feast name day,
Mm-hmm.
and we're sitting at a table, and then all of a sudden, a conversation pops up about Hebrew Israelites, and then, kind of just like, hey, what's your perspective? We was Kangs, like,
We
that
was
type of thing. And it's
Kangs,
just like,
man. We was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kangs.
yeah.
We was Kangs. We was Kangs,
Right.
man. We was
And
Kangs.
we're the ones that know the answers to these things because Yakub gave us the wisdom. So,
Yakub gave us the
it
wisdom. I don't even know what the Yakub thing is. Like, what does that even? Don't explain to me. Don't explain to me. I don't want to
I
know what
won't.
it is. I don't want to know what it is. These people like, oh, Yakub, or like they were talking about like, oh, like BHI, like we was gangs and shit, bro. I'm like, bro, what are we
Yeah.
talking about? Absolute nonsense.
Right.
It's nice to make jokes,
So,
but
I
come on,
mean,
man.
there's a lot of people. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Father Paul Abernathy. He's doing a lot of really good work here
Paul
in the
Abernathy, yeah.
U.S. He's he's written some books, and he's doing a lot of good work. There's a lot of black clergy here that are addressing this issue here in the United States, and I would just say, what you said, I think is very sound in terms of going to Africa, like, truly just being Orthodox and letting Christ do the work, and
Yeah,
then through the prayers of those that are saved around you, right? Because of your faith, right? And
exactly.
because of Christ and his salvific work,
Exactly.
we're saved through all of that. And so,
Exactly.
I just think it's interesting though, because usually the people that have these sort of worldviews and comments, they typically don't necessarily have the humility that.
Yeah.
So, super side note, um, Father Turbo Qualls, he talks about um, essentially, at least for African Americans, you
Yeah.
know, he was expressing, and he's working on a documentary. He was expressing that during slavery era,
Yeah.
like African Americans
Yeah.
were closer to Orthodox Christians through the salvific work of actually physically working out their salvation under slavery,
Right.
than, even if they don't have the theology, their
Yeah.
faith was represented through their humility, through their, sort of dignity in their
Right.
suffering.
Right.
And
Right.
that is
No,
a
of course.
really helped me dig deeper into trying to reconcile, a lot of the past ancestral trauma that I still deal with my family directly now, who might say,
Exactly.
hey, that's a weird church. Why don't you come to our church anymore? Like, why aren't you in church with your people, type of thing?
And that's the
Versus
thing
like,
that a lot of
well,
people don't talk about. The problem is
right,
that the community for some reason has like banded themselves around this one focal point, which they all can agree with, because they
right.
feel like, oh well, we don't really have much in common. What do we have in common? Well, we all got stripped from our homeland, and we're here, and we all got killed.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to band around this, and anyone that forsakes that will literally be nothing. Because there's nothing
Right.
that you can identify with. You don't want to identify with your suffering. You weren't successful. So there's nothing else that you have, and no one else will agree with you. And Orthodoxy comes in and says, well, no, you don't have to worry about the success of the world. Why would you
Right.
rely on the success of the world? Okay?
Exactly.
And so that's exactly what people say. Now, to add to that, the problem is when black people simply stay here, because this idea of suffering doesn't help. And a lot of people that are, let's say, white or whatever, not that they're white or whatever, a lot of people that aren't necessarily in that particular experience will be remiss of the fact that, oh, they associate being out of a certain kind of church as coextensive with your race. But they have that experience when they become Orthodox. There are so many white people that I know, English people, that come into the church and they feel, to some degree, like an outsider, foreign, right?
Yeah.
They get certain looks. They're not invited to certain conversations. They're not able to access certain things, information. Certain conversations with people, certain connections. And they're like, well, I'm putting in 5 times as much work as everybody. Like, why aren't I getting all of this kind of stuff? And they're like, well, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You're not them. You're not them. And for the first time, they look to the black guy and they're like, how you feel about this? I'm like, hey, welcome, man. I don't know what to tell you. Welcome to being black. So it's not about us being oppressed. It's not an oppressed thing, but it's that we have
No.
identified with our oppression so much so that we literally don't have anything else to really go on. And so everyone else has their own little thing that they're doing, and we're sort of just like sitting there in the corner like, oh, that's great. But the cool thing about the Orthodox Church is all these people become outsiders again. Everyone becomes outsiders again, and we all need to, like we do at cookouts, say hi. We all need to say hello.
Right.
We all need to link with each other. We all need to interact and dialogue, and that's how we break down those racial stereotypes, if there are any. A lot of them are self-inflicted. Some of them are inflicted by others, and we are able to break down those stereotypes through that way. That's why I like the Orthodox Church.
Yeah, it sounds like you actually have to be Christian.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, brother. God bless you.
Absolutely. Take care. All right. Let's go with Lawrence Tubbs. He says in the back channel, I want to discuss the fellowship within the Orthodox Church that's specifically tackling this and the other efforts in the Orthodox Church amongst the full black diaspora. Lawrence Tubbs, Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen. How is it going?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
That deluge you got is it's unfortunately expected. So I wanted to kind of because I have very limited time. I just wanted to talk about the Fellowship of Saint Moses the Black.
Yes.
This is a fellowship that kind of is all around racial reconciliation and evangelizing to not just black people but everyone about the African roots of Orthodox Christianity. There is many saints from North Africa, from Africa, Egypt, all these times before the various schisms that have sort of
Yep.
divided
Yep.
the
Like, for
church not
example, Elder
necessarily.
Theonas.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and particularly, you know, Saint Moses the Black. I'm
Of
taking a
course.
pen here from
Wow.
the president of the fellowship, Abbess Mother Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Serbian nun, but she's also African American. And so
Wow.
one of the things is there's a hypersensitivity around a lot of this conversation, right? Where people are really more reacting to words rather than content or context of what's going on.
Exactly.
So people hear certain things brought up and they're just immediately knee jerk. Why is there a racial focus? This
Exactly.
is going to lead to problems. Or they hear the term white supremacy, but
Mm-hmm.
like what is meant, you can see it literally happen in
Mm-hmm.
that when you're saying, hey, you can be a part of this, but there's this whole culture that's not prescribed that must be adopted. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's what the whole white supremacist thing is talking about, right? Literally right there. That's
Mm.
There's a culture, right, that is a standard that is just not prescribed, right? As long as we're talking about the actual traditions and morals and ethics, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that just doesn't matter, right? So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, some culture is rooted in dysfunctional things like that. You can
Mm-hmm.
leave that at the door, right? But honestly, what does that have to do with how people pronounce and speak
About the
words,
faith.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that's a sort of pride, right? It's sort of like
Exactly.
we're we are the sort of the standard that you need to kind of
Mm-hmm.
uphold.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to also mention there are other like African, priests, parishes,
Mm-hmm.
things moving out through all the different countries in Africa.
Yeah. For
One of the
example,
people that are, mhm,
Pastor Samuel Davis, one of Father Moses
mhm,
Berry's successors, he's really, really good.
yes,
And I
yes,
want
yeah,
to. I think I am in talks with him to have him on stream. So.
that would be great. I've met him in person at the annual conference for the Fellowship of the Black. I'm the secretary of the Michigan chapter. Where it's
Ah,
going to be here in Michigan again. So I helped set that up last year. We'll
I'd
be
love.
helping set that up again, and it's great. I encourage people to look at it. The talks are available online,
Mm-hmm.
and to really come at it from like an open perspective. If you're seeing the focus
Yeah.
on the racial part, maybe you're just like off put. You're concerned. You're thinking of all these worldly things that are kind of going on.
Yeah.
The truth is there is, right, at least you could just say the perceived sort of
Mm-hmm.
pain. Like people have experiences with these things that are painful, and the church is working to
Mm-hmm.
reconcile that, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's really important is that their effort is being put to address that pain, right? That
Exactly.
suffering that has happened, and everybody has gone through that. But
Mm-hmm.
this is a particular ministry for that people and to spread the word that
Mm-hmm.
there is orthodoxy. There's these roots to it that every
And
knee
that
shall
it's not
bow,
an
every tongue shall
excuse
confess.
to
Exactly.
deride the
Yeah.
faith. That's the main thing. It's not an excuse to deride
Yeah.
it. I'd love to
Yeah.
to speak there, to speak on that. But, of course I would not want to take the, if it's appropriate, I'd love to speak there, you know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I can pull strings to make
no,
that one
no, no,
happen
no.
just
I'm
yet,
just saying,
but
it sounds like a fantastic
Mhm.
project.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
I would absolutely say listen to some of the talks, especially when you were talking about
mhm.
what Father Turbo had mentioned about the the spirituality that the slaves had. There was a few talks about that from the last conference that very much elaborated on that. So
Yeah.
there's something there's really something there's really something there. There's really something great going
Yeah.
on.
Like Father
And
Paisios, for
the
example.
Mhm.
Father Paisios Altschul, he made a book, Wade in the
Yes.
River, Story of the African Christian
Mhm.
Faith. What a good
Yeah,
book. What a good book.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think people are very sensitive, very politically
Mhm.
sort of motivated by these things, but you know, the truth steps over all of these limitations, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's very concerned about like, well, the immigration and the makeup of
Mhm.
these countries, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's the inherent belief, like,
Mhm.
the diversity is a problem, right?
Mhm.
The what's the issue is they're viewing it in the wrong sort of way. If
Mm-hmm.
there is a unifying principle,
Mm-hmm.
right, then you can have a bunch of variation
Mm-hmm.
in people who, right, as long as they still subscribe to that thing, right? And there's a lot of attachment to these things, like your ethnic makeup of your country and all this other stuff.
Mm.
Ultimately, there's very little control that you have over that, right? If you can't control the person next to you as far as their choices, and
Yeah.
then you can, sometimes you could barely control getting angry when you stub your toe or something. It's going to be very difficult to sort of make that happen unless you
Yeah.
have a shared principle, right? And
It's just that we
it's
can
a
never. The important thing to recognize as well is with the joy of these movements, we can never ever put our racial, cultural, or ethnic ties above the person of Christ. I think that
mhm,
the beauty of the St. Moses the Black Society, if it's doing its job, is that it seeks to establish a way of showing people of our community, of our various diaspora communities, that, hey, look, the Orthodox Church is here to be able to put you on the royal path. Look at the way that the royal path has affected so many people, and look at the way that it has to change you, and it has to conform you to the person of Christ. And that's exactly what I emphasize in my content anyway. So thank you so much.
yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to head off. Glad to get the chance to talk with you.
Thank you.
Keep making these discussions, doing these debate reviews, and I guess shaking the tree a little.
Thank you.
So,
Join the
all
Discord
right,
server as well. We'll talk more.
will
Thank you
do,
so much.
will do. Thank
All
you.
right. Take care, Lawrence. Christ is risen. Okay. I was gonna invite Tanzaki, but I have Father George Gudge here. Father George, your blessing and Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen. God bless you.
How did you come across us? What's going on?
Oh, I regularly troll the live things on YouTube just to
Oh,
see if I want to comment or
on
anything
the
on things.
interwebs.
This caught my attention.
Okay. Well, please. What did you think? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I
Kind of on
mean
edge.
the fact that there would be people who want to like exclude entire groups from the faith is just absolutely bonkers. And I mean, coming at this from someone who's like Antiochian, right? Like, and ethnically so, like my
Literally.
ancestors, like 2,000 years ago
Yeah.
in a village in Syria, heard St.
Yeah.
Paul preaching the word, and
Mm.
we're like, yeah, we're going to get on board
Mm.
with that.
Mm. I
And
just.
then here come these Johnny come lately Greeks and Russians, and like, okay, I guess we'll bring them into the church too. And, like, come on, guys. Like, if you
So.
look at the book of like one of the things that gets me, you look at the book of Acts, right? You look
Right.
at the book of Acts, and
Mm-hmm.
St. Paul's preaching in the synagogues, and
Mm.
he's got a mixed audience. He's got Jews, he's got God-fearers, Gentiles who
Yeah.
believe in the
Everyone.
God of Israel,
Mm.
and he's preaching,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's on board with him. Everyone's totally on his side. And then he mentions, and therefore God has called the Gentiles, and the Jews are suddenly like, what?
Like, wait.
What do you mean the Gentiles get
Wait,
to
what do you mean by we
This
got
is
a Gentile? Like, it was an
this is
us
supposed to be
thing.
our thing, this is our thing. And they don't leave. So he's left with only the Gentiles. He preaches to them. That's
Yeah.
why the church is primarily Gentile today.
Right. Out of spite,
The
almost.
intolerance.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree.
And that people should have come to the faith lately. Like, we're not even talking like their parents or their grandparents. But like, guys make a decision for themselves to become
For
Orthodox.
themselves. They were
Glory to God.
first gen converts. Yeah.
Glory to God that they're in the church. But let the church fix you, please.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be in the church and a racist, then you're not being healed. You're not repenting.
This is the thing. And it's that same mindset, right? It's the same mindset that we complain of all the time, which is we look at salvation. This is a Protestant thing, but we look at salvation of what's that got to do with me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
We've made salvation minimum criteria that we need in order to achieve heaven. And Father George, please speak to this experience. How many times have you talked to a Protestant, or you've had people that were Protestant that told you all I needed is faith in Christ?
I've had a couple of experiences with that. Not as many as you'd think, because a lot of the time they don't want to broach on that because they're afraid of talking to the priest about that. But it's I try to express to my people that we're saved not just individually, we're saved as a community. We're
Yes.
saved as a body
Yeah.
of Christ.
As a nation, as
And
a people. Yeah.
we are one royal priesthood and holy nation. And a
Literally.
peculiar people unto the Lord. And aren't we
Amen.
peculiar?
We are peculiar because
But
we're all sick, aren't we? And we're all we're all
exactly.
sick.
Exactly.
So
But
yeah.
it's like my brothers and sisters are those who are in this body of Christ with me. And so, like, yeah, there might be a cultural or a linguistic or a racial separation between us, but that doesn't matter when you talk about the unity of the chalice. Like, the Orthodox people of Africa are more my brothers than any Syrian American Muslim, because we may have the same like ethnic background, me and the Syrian, but we don't have the chalice. We don't have the body and blood of Christ. But me and the Orthodox person in Kenya, or the Orthodox person in Nigeria, or the Orthodox person in South Africa, we have unity. We have communion. We have koinonia. So we are brothers.
I agree. Father, yeah, this is one of the things that I say as a problem with Protestants particularly, especially when it comes to understanding how we are as a people. The reason why I have more unity with white Orthodox Americans in that respect than black Nigerians who are animists, or black Nigerians who are even to some degree even Pentecostal. The reason I have more affinity is because if they were to approach the person of Christ, they literally think that Christ did everything over there and all I have to do is think that he did it and it works. That's all they think. And that's exactly the same thing that Protestants do when they say that, right? They say, look, well, Christ did all the work on the cross. His saving work was on the cross. He took my sins, all of that stuff. He was put in my place and that united me with God. All I have to do is believe it. And the Orthodox Church goes, no, that's wrong. That's not what happens. Even if all of those things happen, which they did, it is not enough for you just to think about it. When have you ever gone to a party, right? Let's say you go to a banquet, Father. When have you ever gone to a banquet and just thought about the food and not eaten?
Right.
You have to eat. You have to participate in his actions. So you have to die his death. You have to be raised in the life that he was raised. You have to do the things that he did. You're not doing anything. You're participating in everything he did. That's why we have the fullness, and that's why we actually have true unity, because the same people are doing the same things, which is the work of Christ. This is why Paul says he is both in you to will and to work. And so when it comes to the racial context as well, we can see actually how Christ is trying to breed this new nation of people that don't need to come from their mother's womb, that aren't restricted to the accidents that are associated with child rearing, but rather a new birth of people that can take place at any point in time that isn't simply natural, but rather by the full consent of the will.
Right.
So,
right. And we're united in this one body and this one covenant.
Oh,
people.
Yeah, absolutely.
The covenant between God and Abraham has now expanded through the covenant that is in Christ. Christ is the foundation of the new covenant, which is a renewal and an expansion of the old covenant.
Exactly.
Now all nations and all peoples can be grafted into the one tree of Israel.
Yes.
To grow up as good wild stock and bear
fruit. Not just that they're included, they're not just invited to the cookout, they cook too. And the interesting thing, Father, as well, is this is why the Orthodox Church's setup did not divide amongst ethnic lines. It was territorial lines, and they were split up above the 5 patriarchates, because to some degree that the whole point of the patriarchate is to unify. So when we have people, handing out autocephales left, right, and center, to some degree, I think we understand that the point of the patriarchate is to unify cross-culturally. That's why we have the ecumenical patriarchate having multiple different ethnic backgrounds. It has an archdiocese in Thyatira. It has an archdiocese in Germany. It has an archdiocese in Italy even. You see what I mean? It has
And I
archdiocese
think
everywhere, and
the
also with other things, with other
I think
patriarchates.
the identification of autocephalous churches with individual nation states was one of the greatest catastrophes to ever befall Orthodox ecclesiology, because it creates this idea that as soon as an independent
Nation is born
nation
or things like
springs up,
this. Now we need a church.
that there should be an autocephalous church there. But
No,
I mean, my Patriarch of Antioch has multiple countries in it: Syria, Lebanon, Iraq.
and they all
You
have
know,
their own concomitant cultures. They all have their own distinct cultures. And the point
right?
is, when you have
You can
these,
argue, yeah, it's all Arabs, right? But you know, it didn't used to be.
no,
It did
no,
not
there were
used to be.
Greeks. There were Greeks, and
Well, it was we were Greeks in the cities, and then in the countryside, it was Syriac-speaking people.
right.
And we had Georgians in for a while. We had
Yeah.
the Church of Persia was part of the Antiochian Patriarchate. It was a huge multi-ethnic patriarchate that the borders were delineated by the civil boundaries of the Roman Empire,
Hmm.
but it was all in one country, the Roman Empire, and then extended a little beyond it into the Persian Empire.
Oh yeah.
There was no sense of it being, oh, you know, this is the church just for Arabs and only Arabs can be in it, because obviously you have the Jerusalem Patriarchate too, which is also most of the people on the ground are Arabs.
Exactly. And this is exactly the same point that I make, Father. Of course, when it comes to the way that we actually interact with Orthodoxy and race, I think people need to understand that these racial categories, God has allowed them to proliferate and exist because he believes that these are different ways that people can actually access his word and people can access his son. However, we are not supposed to put them as the son. You know, even Christ himself was born in a way that, or a place that sort of touched every single corner of the world. So when we talk about wanting to have national churches, it of course, like, to what degree is that even sustainable? When people are corrupted by sin and they want to secede from their own personal nation, what do they need an autocephalous church for themselves now? Like, all these things are sort of ridiculous. Imagine if, like, Biafra, they were like, "Oh, I need a Biafra Orthodox church." Like, no, like that's not how we do things.
Each individual little nation and people in all of Africa, if they ever separate,
If they ever separate, gotta have your own autocephalous church, man.
Alexandria has jurisdiction as currently understood under Orthodox ecclesiology, and that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing because it unifies you. It means despite your particular ethnic ties and backgrounds, you have something more fundamental, which is virtue. And the virtue is tied to the one who is the pinnacle of all virtue. Yes, Christ was a human, and yet he stood at the pinnacle of all races. This is what we believe. But Father, thank you so much for coming on. Anything else you want to say? I mean, floor's all yours.
No, thank you so much for having me. I don't want to take up all of your time because I see there's people who want to join. But
That's okay.
thank you. And,
Please join the
hopefully I'll
Discord
see you
server as
again.
well and correct all the bad theology you see there. Take a hit.
I'd have to make an account. I had a secret one, but I disabled it.
Woo! But yeah, please message me on. Do you have any other platforms I can reach out to you on?
I'm mostly active on Instagram.
Okay, so shout me on Instagram. Message me on Instagram.
Okay.
When you get your Discord loaded up, message me on Discord. We'll get you situated. Thank you so much, Father. Really appreciate you. The more clerics that are in these Orthodox spaces, the better, because I do want people to feel that they are pastorally safe wherever they go. And we require that people in our server, for the most part, have spiritual blessing to actually be in there and interact. So that's what we just have, because it's better to have your spiritual father. He's risen indeed. Thank you, Father. But yeah, take care. All right. Great guy. Tovia, you're the last person.
Yo, let's go. So I just have a question about like Genesis 10, like the table of nations. Is
Okay.
that like understood to be like cultures or peoples or like what is that?
It can be some. I would have to reflect on the passage again, but let's pull it up.
You know, like the 17 nations.
Yeah, like title king. Well, title was called King of Nations, right?
No, what I mean, like, you know, Cush, like.
Oh yeah, this is just
Shinar,
These are some like sons of Ham, sons of Japheth, all this kind of stuff, and these are the families, and all the nations are divided. Yeah, that's fine.
Because like those lead to all people on earth, right?
Yeah. At least biblically speaking, yeah.
Yeah, but like I can't reconcile like those with like Y DNA haplogroups in like modern science. they track like paternal lineages, and it doesn't like
I'm not
correlate.
I'm not a scientist, but what I will say is I do have people that are scientists in the server, so if you want to speak to them, you can.
Okay,
All
okay,
right.
I'll do that, I guess, but
Okay.
because like in the Bible, like they don't track like autosomal DNA. They don't care like how much like ethnically Bantu or
Mhm.
West
Mhm.
African you are. They only care about your father, right?
Mhm.
Your paternal lineages,
Okay.
and that's what the Y chromosome
Well,
tracks. Like
raise those
white people have.
conversations in the server and see whether people get back to you. Okay. All right.
All right, okay.
Cool. All right. Tenzaki, you're the last one. Go.
Yes, yes. All right, cool. Basic. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Hi.
Basically, what I wanted to say is obviously I'm Nigerian in it, so my dad was a Catholic. My mum, she goes to a white garment church, innit? So obviously their services, when I first entered the Orthodox church, the service was like different in it. Where I've been to like the Catholic church, I kind of understand that they kind of have structure, but in the
Yeah.
CLS church is like just music and like just a lot of things going on. So cool. When I tried to bring my brother to the Orthodox church, and he kind of accepted some of the customs, so like veneration of the holy icons and all the other things in it. But obviously he told me when he didn't come back. I said, "Well, like you're not trying to come back." He said, "Nah, the culture shift is too much for him." So like, what would you say can like help black people like kind of adapt to the like because there's a big culture difference the way services is done in the Orthodox church, otherwise to like a Pentecostal church. So what would you say makes it easier for black people who mainly are who will go to like a church, Pentecostal church? How would you say like it's easy for them to like adapt to like a big culture switch? That's basically my question to you.
How do I what?
How would you like what would you say like would help for black people who will come from like a Pentecostal church to like it'll be a big culture switch to go to Orthodox church, whereas like
Yeah.
there's more structure to it, more veneration of the saints,
So the
and it's
first
like
thing,
they don't do like the singing and all of that going.
okay, the first thing I would tell you to do
Yeah,
is just stand there or sit there if they have chairs. Just
yeah,
sit. That's it. You're not required to engage in every single aspect of the culture. Frankly, people that are already in there don't think you can. Don't worry, because you're not meant to. Okay? The Orthodox culture
okay,
is
yeah, yeah,
unique. And again, it's even sometimes foreign to Greeks. To some degree, a lot of Greeks may feel, oh, yeah, this was where my yaya and papu used to take me. I know the things. They haven't the foggiest idea about the Orthodox faith. The foggiest. Sit there and just take it all in. Listen to how they sing. And for once, you don't actually have to do anything. Just enjoy it. You know? That's what I'd recommend my Pentecostal brothers and sisters. I feel like we do this thing where we have to become celebrants ourselves,
yeah,
and we don't have to celebrate. Okay? We don't have to become celebrants in this way. We can be communicants. We can
yeah, yeah.
sit and stand and just bask in the presence of God, bask in the glory of God. That's what God wants us to do. And that's what we should do. So that's what I would recommend to you. Just sit there, soak it in. You are
No problem. Yeah,
literally,
yeah. I'll pass that on to my brothers, innit?
absolutely. And if you ever need more personal things, you can always message me as well. Join the Discord server as well. We'll get you situated.
Uh, yeah. I'm on
All
the
right.
Discord. Yeah, I'll message you if anything. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you, gang. Take care, yeah? Cool. Say no more. Thank you so much, everybody. That is the end. That is the end of the live stream. I'm going to close down this chat now. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Guys, really, 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 really good stream. Thank you so much for the donations. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much, everyone. Put a 1 in the chat if you felt like this was edifying. Put 2 in the chat if it wasn't. Put 1 in the chat if you guys enjoyed it. Put 2 in the chat if you doesn't. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start reading these super chats as you guys are putting those numbers in the chat. I'm going to start reading these super chats. W stream. W. So let's read all the super chats. We've got a bunch of super chats. Adam Spears, thank you so much for the membership. Toke, thanks for the 30 DKK. Toke, thank you so much for becoming a member. Eli Versi says, black people's fidelity to Christ, let alone orthodoxy, is problematic. It's a reason why Black Hebrew Israelites, Conscious Community, and NOI exist. May the African diaspora reconcile to Christ and Eastern Orthodoxy. Amen. It is problematic for many people, but it doesn't mean it's insurmountable. And that's what we need to focus on. We need to show black people that this is insurmountable. This is not an insurmountable thing, but rather it's not a hill that needs to be climbed. It's a reality that needs to be seen. Just for support, brother. Keep it up. Thank you, Mauricio Cruz. Appreciate you for the $9.99. Aroko with the $10 says, a lot of evil that happened in the West should be attributed to the Protestant and Papist faith. They are a corruption of the good and healthy view that Luigi and you have on this issue. Yeah, a lot of the corruptions have happened in confessions that aren't our own, so that is an issue. We pray for the reconciliation of all, including the Catholics. God bless you, brother. Shout out to the Fellowship of St. Moses the Black. Amen. Thank you, Eldad27. Toke says, I'm in your chest. Okay, yeah. That might be a stream staple. I'm in your chest. Kyla Bunch with the 50. Glad you're back, man. Just supporting the channel. The original parish I attended was 90% Palestinian and Lebanese. Thank you for the support, man. I'm glad they accepted me as a plain white boy from Northern European descent. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Thank you so much for the 50. Appreciate you. SmoothMax5563 with a $1.99. He says, these are Twitter trolls. Ignore them. I will. Kyla Birch with the $4.99 again. He said, I'll add. Wait till I find out about Father Turbo. We love Father Turbo. Eliverse 4.99 says, sigh. Gonna convert to the one holy apostolic black Hebrew Israelites. Toke with the 20 DKK. Nathaniel with the $5. I hate how good faith people like Jay and Benjamin are misused by so many snakes. At the end of the day, they are reacting out of fear because orthodoxy is multiplying. Yeah. Arako with the $10. Orthodoxy also helps a lot of white Americans whom are pretty disconnected from their ancestors' ethnic roots. Praying Orthodox Americans, white, black, etc., can have an Orthodox American ethnogenesis. Thank you so much for the super chats. Let me go on to Streamlabs and check if anybody sent $10. Anyone sent anything? For those of you that donated, make sure you donate on Streamlabs. Go to Streamlabs, donate on Streamlabs. Streamlabs is great. Make sure you go to Streamlabs because YouTube take like 30%. So please make sure you donate on Streamlabs if you want it. If you want to help support the channel even more. We have a non with the 4E. He says, glad you're black, broski. Thank you so much. Glad you're back, broski. We got another super chat in with the 20. Good night. God bless Jerome. Thank you so much. We have Nathan with a 10. Love the work, Jerome. We have Tenzoki with a 10. What's the best way to explain the difference between a being and a person and how the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are all the same being but different persons? Oh, that was a different day. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for the tips. I really do appreciate it. If you really want to help out with the channel, if you want to be a long-term subscriber, head over to patreon.com/SIIIG1. We're still there, SIIIG1. Get yourself whatever videos are there. We have privated videos all the time. So go over there, check those out. Enjoy yourselves. It's been a wonderful day. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy yourselves. And goodbye. Thank you so much for everything.